Hey everyone, I just wanted to show you a quick demo of what I've been doing this weekend. I was looking for a way to create screenshots of pages of all the pages of a site automatically. Um, I was also looking for a tool to do a visual regression and a tool to make some tests on content, at least to test if the forms of a site were working properly. I've tested a bunch of tools, but none of them were doing exactly what I wanted to do. So I have investigated a bit on the different libraries, and I ended up building my own actually with Node, Puppeteer, and Jest. Puppeteer is such a wonderful library. It does exactly what I wanted to do, and it's really straightforward and easy. So yep, so let's have a look at what I've done. So yeah, to do my test, I did a dummy site where I imported a template, just the Kali template, and I made there's a homepage. There's the default sample page from Cloudways. There's the blog archive. There's a blog post and another archive. If we have a look at the code, um, I have a config file where I define all my options, my devices that I want to test. So I defined a custom one, so a desktop. And the Puppeteer has a bunch of predefined devices. So I used an iPad and an iPhone 6. After that, I define all my sites with different options, some custom tests to do, and all the pages to test. So I could do like only one site or a bunch of sites. After that, I have three kinds of tests that I can run. I have content tests, mostly on the if the content renders properly. Or I also do form testing over there. I have my screenshots that are generated with the screenshot test, and I have a visual regression test that I can do over there. So if we start with and I can also create a custom test that I can run. So for example, this one makes sure that the site loads uh, faster than 1 second. And this one makes sure that there's only one H1 tag on the site. So if we run the test, we'll start with for example, the screenshots. I can run them all together doing a run test, or I can run each of them separately, doing, for example, the screenshots. So if we start with the screenshots, it will generate all the screenshots of all the pages on all the devices, and it will output them in the output folder automatically. So let's run it. It takes maybe a minute or two. Okay, so the screenshot test is finished. So you can see on the right over here, all the tests were completed. So it did the test for the demo site, and on that demo site, it tested the page, the home page, the sample page, the blog, archive, and a blog post. For each of these pages, it tested the different devices, so the desktop, the iPad, and the iPhone. And I asked it to do two screenshots. The first one is the above the fold screenshot, and I also asked it to do a full page screenshot. So it generated all the images automatically and put them in the output folder. You can see them over here. So if we have a look at them, the screenshots for the site, let's take the full page. And you see all of them are generated. So if we take the full page of the home on the desktop, it looks like that. And you can also have the same thing on the iPad, look like that. If we have a glimpse at the above the fold, where is it? So the iPad above the fold would be this. So the next test I wanted to do is a visual regression. So basically, you have a screenshot of a page, you archive it, and then you take a new screenshot and you compare it if there's something different. it just reports me that there's something different, so there's an error. So let's have a look. So instead of test screenshot, I can do test visual, and this one is quite long. So I'll come back after it's done. Okay, so the test is done. So it generated a bunch of images. Um, it does take the whole page, and after that I can select some specific element in the DOM that I want to screenshot for. It's the same thing as the screenshots I did earlier. So it tested all the pages on all the devices. Let's have a look at the output. So all the images are over there. I put them in the same folder. So if we have a look, so you can see that it took for example, a blog post, a screenshot of the whole page, and after that, it selected one of the element. So for example, this section, it's on the home page, so it generated that section. And later on, the next test I will do, it will check on the whole page, and I could also test specifically the form to see if that element of the DOM changes. So let's make a small change on the site. For example, over here, if I put yoga, if I add a number at the end, we'll just rerun the test. So I've updated the page. So we'll just rerun the test and see if it catches it. So again, I have for about a minute to wait. Okay, so the visual regression test was completed. As you can see, it failed, which is what it's expected since we did a small change over here and we wanted it to notice it. So let's see what it gives us. It generates, when the test fails, well, you can see a notification here, but what's the best way to do it is it generates a different image. So on that image, you have on the left side the original snapshot, and on the right side the new snapshot. In between, it's just a comparison of the two. So you can see here the red squiggly. It's the difference between the two. So over here we had the yoga session, and over here we added a small number. So it did catch it. It catched it on the desktop version, the tablet, and on the mobile too. Okay, so the last test I wanted to create was test on the content. So basically it checks that the page renders properly, and that the title is good, and also the form submission works. So let's run it. Okay, so the content test is completed. As you can see, I tested a couple of things. If it had a title, if it had something in the content. I also tested for the form, which is on the home page, is at the end over there. So it automatically filled the form and sent it, and it checks for the success message. You can do some custom tests too. So if the page, it tests if the page only has one H1, and if it loads faster than 1 second. So what's great about Jest is that I can run all the tests together at the same time by running this command. But just before, I'll just remove the modification I did over here. Update. Okay, so let's run the test again. Over here. It will take all the tests. We're taking about 2 minutes. Running them all together will also take about 2 minutes. So you save time over there. So all the three tests were done simultaneously. You can see the results over here. So all the content was tested. All my screenshots were recreated, and the visual regression tests were done too. both on the body, so the whole page, and on the elements that I define. So everything passed. And if we look at the image difference folder, there's nothing in there. So you still have all the snapshots and the screenshots in the other folder, but since this one is empty, so all the tests were successful. Another really cool tool I found today, um, you can write your custom tests, and you can do that by writing, well, using the Puppeteer library, and you write each command manually. But there's a nice Chrome extension that will record every action you take on the screen on a page, and it will convert it to Puppeteer commands. Um, so if you click, for example, if you click here and hit record, so I'm on the blog post right now, and I would like, for example, to test the menu. So if I click here on the home page, it goes to the home page, and then if I hit stop, all the Puppeteer code to recreate the exact same action um, is there. So you basically hit the copy to a clipboard, and then you would reuse some of these comments in your custom tests. So there's obviously a couple of limitations to this setup. Well, visual regression can be quite tricky sometimes. For example, this Kali template, the header had percentage. The height of the header was set according to a percentage, but that doesn't really work well with the Puppeteer library. I found a hack, but it, it's not perfect, so I prefer to switch the site on a fixed height. Also, since for the visual regressions, when you compare two images, the images needs to be really similar. So if you have a moving background, a video in the background or something like that, you might get false positive. So what I did is when you know that there's something, an element that can be tricky, I kept it on the screenshot, on the regular screenshot. But for the visual regression, I just removed the DOM element, so it wouldn't test that element. It wouldn't include that element in the visual test. So it's not perfect, but and there's obviously I'll find other limitations by using it. But for a weekend project, it was quite good. Yep. So the code isn't perfect. It's I made that just this weekend to play. It was a side project just to test some things. It was fun though, so I was able to create a bunch of stuff. I'll put it on GitHub public repo so you can have a look at it and improve it. I'll probably be using it for all my care plans client, just to be to have a workflow, a semi-automatic workflow to test their sites after each update. So I already have a bunch of ideas on how I could improve it. So yep, so this will be fun. So keep in touch. Bye bye.